Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome to Hackers and Hooks. My name is Nick Gibson. I'm really excited about this episode coming up. We're going to delve into a really cool breach that really happened. And then we're going to talk about a big fish story of when I was actually up in Isaac's neck of the woods in Arkansas. I got to get a big old catfish. We're going to talk about that. A little introduction to recap of last week. My name is Nick Gibson. I am a digital forensic investigator with experience in the Department of Defense and Fortune funds. I now run Gipson Cyber, and we protect small businesses from data breaches and help them respond to and recover from data breaches. I also have my co-host here, Isaac. Isaac, I want to have you introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Isaac Reed. I'm a former sysad, hardware guy, and COO for Gipson Cyber.
This week's stories are about surprising places that you will find cyber attacks and fish, from how a hacker took down celebrity phones to a monster fish lurking in the smallest of waters. You never know where you're going to find cyber attacks or fish. We're winding back to 2005, where flip phones were hot and sidekicks were a status symbol, and Paris Hilton was the epitome of Hollywood it culture. She was all over the news all the time and at everyone's parties and doing all these other things and doing shows and reality TV and all this sort of stuff, being a socialite in 2005. And a hacker named Cameron LaCroix got in to her phone and was able to leak nudes as well as all her contact information to all the other celebrities and even track her phone where it was throughout the world. It was a huge compromise, not just of Paris Hilton's phone. It was a compromise of T-Mobile's networks as a whole, and we're going to talk about that. And then on the fishing side, like I mentioned, we're going to talk about a 15-pound catfish that I got on the banks of the 11 Point River in Arkansas. I was using chicken liver, a treble hook, and a whole lot of luck. We'll talk about that again soon. All right. From teenage hackers to heavyweight catfish, both stories prove the same thing. You never know what's beneath the surface or who's about to take the bait. All right, now we're going to go into our data breach section. Back in 2005, it was 15. Isaac, I believe you were 8 years old.
I was, yeah.
It was an age that is long past. MySpace was the one of the biggest websites out there. Facebook had not even come about yet, or it was just in the very beginning stages. And the latest technology out there was a sidekick from T-Mobile you could get. It's a little flip phone. It flipped to the side. It was super cool. Or I liked what I had was the Razor flip phone. Did you did you have
Oh,
what did you
yeah.
have, the Razor
The original
Nokia?
Motorola
Yeah.
Razr flip phone.
Yeah.
I think it was the first cell phone I ever had.
Yes, it was like the first one that they came in like gold and pink and all the different like colors besides just gray. Yeah. So this is the type of environment that we're talking about. Early days of cell phone usage. Not even to the point where everyone back then internet capability with cell phones was optional and was an extra charge. It wasn't just like built into a data plan. And then the data plans were real strict. It was like 25 megs for the whole month. That was it. And so a year old hacker named Cameron LaCroix was curious and persistent about finding out vulnerabilities within T-Mobile's network. And that's what he went out and did. I'm kind of breaking it to you so you can jump in.
I mean, back 2005, still pretty early for public access internet. They're really just starting to get going. I mean, there was no encryption, no multi-factor authentication. Everything that had a 4-digit PIN, most people never reset it. They stayed with the standard. I mean, it's changed a lot, but back then, I mean, everything was vulnerable if people knew where to look.
Yeah, I mean, you could just call up anyone's phone number, and if you could guess the password, you can get their voicemails that they had and anything else. So it was a wild time, and it's interesting because our entire system is built on that today. Like we're still seeing remnants of that system being vulnerabilities today, wherein we have weak passwords or that people don't think that they're going to be used. Certain things are going to be used a certain way. That's really a lot of the ways that that companies fall to the wayside is they don't stick to the standards of today's technology and what they need to do. They fall back to old school 2005, no passwords, weak passwords, people not doing what they need to be doing. And then this comes about. It happens again, and we'll talk about that. We're gonna switch over to like the how of the attack at this time. And so how Cameron was able to get at T-Mobile's network was fairly simple. He called up their help desk line and pretended to be a person of leadership status, and that he had an absolute need to have the password reset or provided the password. And from his account, it seems like T-Mobile was just like readily willing to do that as long as he spoke the language of T-Mobile, right? If you can speak the language and you can get past the few people, the few gatekeepers, they'll pretty much give you the keys to the kingdom. It's what we're learning here.
Right. And
Isaac,
I
what are your
mean,
thoughts on that?
yeah, I mean, all you had to do is speak the lingo. Back then, you just had to talk to the right people.
Mhm.
Nobody's going to stop you. Nobody's going to ask second guess or ask any extra questions. It's like, oh, sure, they need a password reset. I'm on it. Let me do that
Yeah.
for you. Whatever you want. Times have changed now. Customer service. It's impossible to get any kind of service unless you're dealing with us.
Yeah, it's exactly like try calling Google and try to have your password reset or any sort of any sort of account maintenance done, and you're going to be drugged through the ringer before you're ever able to even talk to a real person. And that's a part. I think a part of that comes stems from people not wanting to have the human be hacked in the system. They put automation in front of it so that it can't be.
Now, and the sheer number of people that have taken to all this. 2005, that wasn't really a factor. I mean, not that many people were needing to call technical support for their cell phones or whatever. Things just worked because it was such a simple setup and simple system.
I mean, honestly, still the majority of people, I would say I don't have the numbers on this, but I would say the majority of people back in 2005, especially in rural communities, were still on dial-up or DSL.
We definitely were.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Up in Arkansas, I mean, you're still on dial-up. I mean, technically, AOL just went out. What 2 years? What last year? This year?
Yeah, the last year or two. I mean, I remember, earliest I remember having a computer was probably around this time, about 2005, 2006.
Yeah,
Perspective.
yeah. I was in my junior year of high school and I was using, oh man, I had a Dell, one of those big old thick old boys. It was like this thick, and that's what I used to write all my papers on and things like that. And that was like the most amazing thing because we could do spell check. Spell check was like the best thing that was ever invented when I was in high school. We could do spell check, and now we have AI that just writes the whole damn paper for us.
Right. Yeah. Back then, you had to go get a dictionary,
Yeah,
figure it out.
yeah, you actually had to write the stuff down, and then it's crazy because this is before really any social media has taken off. Even it's right around the time that YouTube started, and there was no influencer or any sort of culture that you could get from an online culture. It was all still done very manually, very people would do magazines and they track people through, TMZ and heck, back then it was probably VH1 and MTV, and that's how you would, watching MTV Cribs is how I knew what Snoop Dogg's house looked like. Now I can just Google his house. So, uh, and that's that's the world that that this hack took place in. This hack, I think, defined a lot of what mobile networks do nowadays, was where they have training and they have the biggest thing about it was that this he was able to SIM swap or SIM clone people's devices at will based on their phone number. Now that is very hard to do. It's very hard to clone someone's SIM without physical access to the device. But not in 2005. You could just call up a number and get access to the device. It was still the internet was still primarily run over the phone lines. It did not come out. Fiber was not a thing. So when you had weak passwords and people not understanding to check and verify processes before resetting passwords or things like that, you get you get what we have here. Cameron was able to compromise T-Mobile's networks in such a way that it was really, really embarrassing for them. And one more fact before this, I liked how when I was reading about this story that the fact that T-Mobile had used Paris Hilton in a commercial like a few months prior to that hack coming out. And she was using the Sidekick, and the Sidekick was provided to her by T-Mobile as a part of that deal. Everyone is looking at her at this time and noticing she is with the Sidekick and associating that together. It's been a huge they've been had a huge boost when that happened. Everyone wanted to get Paris Hilton's phone. All right. And then the hack happened. And what was crazy is that it was all across celebrity media, and you would think that it actually would have hurt sales of the Sidekick. It didn't. It actually increased the sales of the Sidekick.
No, times have changed. If anyone hears now that there's some sort of issue with the new iPhone, people won't buy it. But now
Yeah.
back then, everybody was like, "Yeah, we're completely compromised. Ah, that's cool. It's a cool phone. I'll get over it." Nobody wants to steal my
Yeah.
info.
Yeah. I'm not Paris Hilton. I don't need all the no one's wants to take my photos. And now that is a very very serious crime, especially if you're doing it like an underage in high school sort of way. That's distribution of child pornography in today's day and age. Back then it wasn't. Back then it was I don't know. I remember people talking about it, but I never actually saw it in my high school. Like no one actually in my high school ever actually had a scandal where they were sending around private nude messages, or at least they weren't getting sent to me. I'll tell you that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this was like one of the first like big celebrity hacks, wasn't it? It was like she was first
Yes.
time anything like this has happened to any celebrity for the most part.
Yeah, and it became a downstream attack too, because not only did he get access to her phone, he got access to her contact list, which had celebrities, CEOs, world leaders all on it. And that got leaked to the public. All those people had to then get new phone numbers. It caused a big ripple effect. So when we're talking about lessons learned here, we need to realize that what they didn't realize back then was that phones are now basically a part of our existence. Like we live our lives on our phone, all of our information's on our phone, our banking information's on our phone. This is even more relevant today. The lessons learned here are even more relevant today now than they were in 2005. Do not have bad passwords. The worst thing that you could do right now is have a password that doesn't have a capital, is not long enough, has no numbers, and no special characters.
And thankfully, most websites now require that. I mean, there are still some out there that don't for sure, but it definitely helps the case that being kind of the industry standard with everything for the most part.
But it's still on the user to make sure that they're not reusing passwords and have good password management. That's why we talk about password managers, right? And using strong multi-factor authentication. Everyone knows about those 6-digit codes that you get sent. This is what it comes from it. Because of these attacks, these types of attacks, you can't do a lot of the things that you used to be able to do. SIM swapping is the perfect example, like we were talking about earlier. You now need both a physical phone and most of the time a operator of the carrier with you on the call to make sure that to swap the SIM. You can't just do it on your own.
Right, you have to be a verified user on any kind of phone account that I've ever had to deal with, especially with AT&T. They're super strict.
Yes, yeah, like, you can't just go in, "Oh, I'm gonna go" now you could plug that SIM card into something else, but you can't take it out and then literally clone it like you used to be able to, like a USB drive and plug it into something else. It just doesn't work like that anymore, and because of this reason, for good reason, because of this. Now, SIMs, I hear, are even going out, like, there's nowadays, we're getting rid of SIMs, and they're just going to be digital.
Yep, my new iPhone digital SIM. I think they've been that way for a couple years now with iPhones and certain carriers.
Yes, yeah. Android still has SIMs, um, and things like that, but yeah, iPhones are still operating off of, or now operating off of digital. But yeah, so if you're out there and you are still reusing the same password over and over again. It's 2025. We're over this now.
It's like leaving your car running unlocked in San Francisco. You're just asking for trouble.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, or any big city anywhere, I wouldn't leave my car running outside. And this is it's also interesting because you talk about like, cyber people don't know this, but there is a thing called cybersecurity insurance where you're actually able to insure yourself against a data breach. But where it comes down to rubber meets the road is that if you don't do the necessary things up front to ensure that you don't have a data breach to begin with, they are not going to cover a data breach when it happens.
And that's why you need us, Gipson Cyber.
And that is why you need us. Yeah. So I need to pull up the catch of the week. Let me grab that image real quick. All right, now we're going to shift into the catch of the week, and I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to talk about the 15-pound cat that I got on the 11 Point River or up in Arkansas, right where Isaac's originally from. And I was fishing with this. My family, my wife and kids were up just on a vacation for the week during the summertime. I think this was 2022 or so, like just before I started Gibson Cyber, where I was talking with some of my cousins. I think one of them was your dad, Isaac, and he was like,
Absolutely.
"Just go get some chicken livers and put it on a treble hook and throw it out there with some weight on it." So that's what I did, and not as soon as hit the water did this thing smash it right off a log. It was interesting because if you see the water behind me, um, it's it may look like it's right there, but it's actually about 10 or 15 feet below where I'm standing. It's a very big drop off bank, and it's two things. Well, three things. It's sand, rocks, and water moccasins. Those are the only three things that are on the bank of this river. So I'm trying to fight this fish underneath this log, and it's swinging across the bay or swinging across the river like this, and it's coming towards the edge and trying to get into one of the holes there in the side of the edges there, and I'm trying to keep it out of there. I finally get it up to my spot, and I have to pull it up, hand winch it, like hand over hand, getting it up to my spot, hoping that it didn't break the line, and finally got it up and got the picture here. I was using 20-pound braid and 15-pound monofilament leader, so wasn't like super heavy tackle, and yeah, pretty well,
I mean, you
my
got it
personal
done.
best catfish. Yeah, I got it done.
I think I know round about the spot where you got it. I mean, I've been all up and down that river many times over my life. Got run over by a boat on that river. There's another fun
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, I love fishing up there. I'm excited to go back one day. We'll have a Gibson Cyber yearly fishing trip up there on the 11 Point again. Maybe we'll do fly fishing this year or
Yeah,
next year.
I need you to teach me how to fly fish. I mean, fun fact, that is
Yeah.
one of the 5 rivers in Randolph County. There's
Yes.
plenty of
So
options.
Randolph County, Arkansas, outside Pocahontas. Yes, that's an actual name of a city. Um, it's beautiful. Love the country up there. It's where my ancestors are from. It's where Isaac's ancestors are from, and I love going out there. It is wild country for sure, though.
Definitely compared to the Tampa Bay area.
Yeah, compared to Tampa Bay, it's a whole different ball game.
Well, I mean, even down here, there are more people in my suburb neighborhood here than the entire Randolph County, Arkansas. I mean, it's
Yeah,
big difference.
yeah, with towns like Gum Stump and um uh what's the other like what's the one with
Gumstump,
the crow
Maynard,
Maynard? Yep,
Ravenden,
Ravenden. Yeah,
Ravenden,
Ravenden.
and Ravenden Springs. Yeah,
Yeah,
backwoods.
that's where that was. I think was in Ravenden. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, yeah, it
I
would have
think.
been out towards Imboden between.
Yeah.
I know the spot.
Yeah, and all right, so that was an awesome catch, but it really showed me like, you know, I wasn't expecting this big old catfish where it landed underneath this log. I was actually hunting for some like smallmouth bass or something like that, but um this yeah, it's funny how you where catfish will end up because they don't need a lot of oxygen to live. and breathe, so they can end up in really small, tight water that you don't really expect. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up for today. So with some of the practical tips that we can and takeaways that you can have from our stories from today. The first one I think when we talked about, we wrapped it up for a little bit before, is having strong passwords and password management. Password managers, if you aren't familiar with them, password managers are online cloud-based systems. They could be You could download it on your computer. I don't know why you would. Cloud-based systems in which you store your passwords in an encrypted vault. So this vault is much like a bank in that it sits in the cloud, and the only key that is allowed to open it is the one that you have. You make the strong password, and only you can unencrypt it. Even the people that own the bank, i.e., the password manager, cannot look at your passwords. It can't see them. So always good password managers out there. LastPass, 1Password, Bitdefender has a good one, and a lot of other name brands that have their own built-in versions. It doesn't matter which one that you use, as long as you are using one of them. I do want to caution you on one thing though, and I'll kick it over to Isaac here just a second for any takeaways on this portion of it. But if you are going to use password managers that are integrated within like browsers, as in Google, Chrome, Opera, Internet Explorer, Edge, whatever it is, if you're using those, they have a vulnerability in that if those accounts become compromised, those accounts are directly facing internet and like looking at you're using it to go on the internet and browse. If those become compromised, so do all of your passwords. So it behooves you to have a separate system, a third-party system outside of your browser that can be a browser extension, but does not act as a all-in-one source for the attacker when they if they compromise your account. If they compromise my account at Gipson Cyber, that would probably be bad, but it wouldn't be as bad as them compromising my privileged accounts or anything like that, because I have strict controls over what I do. If it doesn't get compromised, I get a new password, get a new account, and we're good to go. Isaac, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And another thing that Google does is they'll save your credit card information from, constant purchases just to make it easier on you,
Mm,
right? Someone gets your Google account and they've pretty well got all your credit card information they would need. Sometimes it'll
yes.
ask you to verify with your security code on the back. Sometimes it won't. It's not worth the risk. It's really not. Just use a password manager. And I think, does LastPass store credit card information and other payment information?
Yep. Yes. LastPass stores credit card information, social security numbers, passport numbers and identifications,
Any
all
PII
that
that
sort of
needs to
stuff.
be secured and encrypted.
Yeah.
Don't
Yes.
leave it on
And
Google.
what's awesome is that it's not just LastPass, it's all of them. They have phone apps now. They have apps for the different devices, so they go across everything. There's really no reason that people shouldn't be using these anymore. I mean, they're so easy. They're all free. You can pay for them if you want to. Like we pay for them because we like the security that comes with them. But when you're out there and you're just doing your normal thing and you're using like a Gmail address to do your normal personal stuff, use a free password manager. It will save you so much hassle. I promise. All right. And also, when you're talking about phone security specifically, do not anytime that you are given an option of a password, that be it your credit card, your debit card, your phone, voicemail, your whatever it is, opt for security. Always think security first. Don't have a voicemail pin that's 0000.
Don't use your birthday. Don't use 123
Yeah,
up.
yeah. I mean, I use like a dead pet's information sometimes, like that sort of stuff. People would never know a dead pet
No, I
or
mean,
anything like that.
it's pretty morbid, but yeah, no, definitely not going to know your dead
I
cat's
mean,
birthday.
no, they're not. Yeah, they're not going to know your dead cat's birthday. They're not going to know your grandparents' anniversary date or whatever. Just something random, but make sure that it's secure. it is difficult with with voicemail passwords because it's really just numbers, so you can't really get a lot more secure than just scrambling up your numbers like a combo code, but at least take the steps to do something. And then for on the fishing side of the house, when you're out there looking for fish and you may not even know. No, I that was just up there for vacation, so I don't fish those waters very often. I didn't know what was in those waters. I was just throwing out bait to see if it would hit, and it takes it. But now we're going to talk about the fishing parallels and the tips and tricks and fishing takeaways that we learned today. Never overlook a spot, even though you think it may not have any fish in it. Same with if you're investigating a cybersecurity case or doing some sort of due diligence in cybersecurity. Always go the best about it. Always try to think outside the box. Think about different areas that a hacker could be in. Think about different areas that a fish could be in. Could they be under this rock? Could they be under this in this small thin pool? I don't see them, but maybe they're there. Right? What are your takeaways on that, Isaac?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, always verify before you trust. Right?
Yes. I think we should update that. I don't think we should say trust but verify anymore. I think we should say never trust, always verify. Especially being in cybersecurity with the zero trust framework, you should never trust anything. If I call you up tomorrow and even if you know that it's me, know from my number and it sounds like me, and I say, "Hey, I need some gift cards," I would hope that you would ask someone else. Ask another person. Call me in a different way. Message me on Facebook, email me. Find out and verify that if that's actually true.
Yeah,
If
and
it
with
is,
modern day
great.
technology, sorry, cut you off, but with modern day
No.
technology, they can clone your voice, which adds a whole nother factor. That's a story for a different day. But always
Yes. I
verify.
mean, that's always verify. Always, always, always. All right. So thank you, everyone. This was a really great episode. I loved talking about the Cameron LaCroix hack and how T-Mobile was basically owned by a 17-year-old for a little while, and really getting to understand that these lessons that we learned from them are still rearing the ugly head today. One last story before we go, and I'll just kind of remind everyone about this if you haven't heard about it before, but the MGM hack from 2023 shares very similar parallels with the Cameron LaCroix Paris Hilton hack. MGM is a casino that's designed to keep their money. That's what they do. And all it took was an attacker to call their help desk and ask for a password reset. That's it. Multi-million-dollar ransom. So these things still happen to this day, 20 years later, and we're still dealing with the same thing, just in a different package. All right, next week we're going to talk about the Morris worm and how it was a big, huge moment in cybersecurity in that it defined how we operate today. It was the world's first destructive internet-based worm that moved throughout the entire world, affecting many, many different systems. And it's interesting is that the person that it's named after, Robert Morris, was the son of the CIA's director at the time. So we're going to learn how all fell down, and then we're going to talk more about some cool fishing trips that I've been on lately. I don't know exactly which one yet, Isaac, that we're going to talk about next week, but we'll come up with a good one.
I mean, you go every weekend, so there should be no shortage of good stories.
Yeah, when you have the Gulf of Mexico in your backyard, you get a lot of cool fish. So
I
we'll
have
be able to come up with something.
sand and tumbleweeds and coyotes. That's it.
I know I'm going. One day we're gonna get down to do some like big Texas reds down on like Shreveport.
Or Galveston, yeah. Down there on
Yeah,
the coast.
Galveston. Yeah,
Shreveport's in Louisiana.
Louisiana. Other side, it's the same.
I think we need to go down to South Texas, some of these big bass lakes. That's where the giants are, and try that out one of these
Yeah,
days.
yeah, yeah. I Even though I live in Florida, I've never been down there. I want to go to Lake Okeechobee.
That would be cool. Yeah, Lake
Yeah,
Texoma down here is the big bass lake. Like that's the spot. That's where
nice.
Bassmaster hosts an event every year.
Oh yeah, that would be sick. Yeah, let's do that. All right, we're gonna do that. It's gonna be over. Maybe we'll film it and put it out on one of our episodes or something. That would be pretty cool. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. It was super awesome to talk about the Paris Hilton hack and everything with you. Remember that if you have a big fish story that you'd like to have featured on our podcast, please tag us and hashtag hackers and hooks. And Isaac, I'll let you leave with the last few words.
Sure. Thanks for watching. Remember, keep your password secure. Don't send your information to anybody. Never trust, always verify. And
Never trust, always verify.
don't get fished. Don't get hooked. Thanks for watching.
Love it. Have a good one, everyone. Talk to you soon.